Okay, let's get right into it. Have you ever noticed how your relationship seems to have its own weather? Some days it's all sunshine and warmth, and other days it can feel pretty cold and distant. Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. We're going to be digging into a really powerful way to understand these changes, and it all comes from Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The Four Seasons of Marriage. So, what we're really unpacking here is the core metaphor from his work, and the main idea is this: relationships aren't meant to be static. They're not supposed to just get stuck in one mode forever. Instead, they're always moving, always evolving, and they go through these different phases, a lot like the seasons in nature. And this quote right here, this is really our central theme. Just like the world outside our window, every single marriage cycles through its own seasons. You've got the excitement and new beginnings of spring, the warm contentment of summer, maybe the quiet drifting of fall, and yeah, sometimes the deep disconnection of winter. Just figuring out which season you're in, that's the crucial first step. All right, so let's dive into the central metaphor that really frames this entire concept. It comes from a surprisingly simple but pretty profound story from Chapman's own life. So, Chapman tells this story about a beautiful old elm tree in his yard, but there was a problem. It was being slowly choked to death by this really aggressive vine called kudzu. He could see other trees that had already been lost to it, and he decided, nope, not this one. He was determined to save it. And that whole struggle, that became his go-to metaphor for what happens in a marriage. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think about it. The kudzu vine, that represents all the negative stuff, right? The bad attitudes, the unhealthy habits, all the unresolved arguments that can just slowly suffocate the life out of a relationship. But the gardener, well, that's you. That's us. We have the choice to be intentional, to pick up the tools, and to start cutting away all that negativity so the marriage can actually breathe and grow again. We're going to start with the season that, let's be honest, often feels the toughest. See, when that quiet neglect of a fall season gets ignored for too long, a relationship can slide right into winter. And this is a time that's really defined by coldness, harshness, and this feeling of bitterness. It can feel really bleak for sure, but understanding it is so crucial. As you can see here, winter is marked by emotions like deep hurt and disappointment. The attitudes can become really negative, even hopeless. And the actions? They can be pretty destructive, anything from sharp, harsh words to just cold silence. Chapman has this image of two people living in separate igloos, and that really paints a picture, doesn't it? And this quote from a man named George, wow, it just captures that emotional emptiness perfectly. Can you imagine? After 18 years, feeling like you're just tolerated, not actually cherished? It's this profound sense of being alone, even when you're right next to someone. And then you have Marilyn's experience, which really shines a light on the communication breakdown. In winter, it seems like conversations only go one of two ways. They either blow up into these arguments that lead nowhere, or they just stop happening altogether. It's this frustrating cycle where absolutely no one feels heard and nobody's happy. But listen, this is the single most important thing to remember about a marital winter. Unlike the seasons in nature, you are not just stuck waiting for it to end. You're not at its mercy. A change in the season can start with just one single choice from one of the gardeners. And that choice, well, that's what can lead us out of the cold and straight into spring, a season all about fresh starts and brand new beginnings. Spring is all about the return of hope and excitement. You start to see attitudes shift back toward optimism, and actions become nurturing again. This is the time for intentionally planting new seeds, relearning how to communicate, and really making an effort to understand each other again. I mean, just look at the shift here. You go from those cold, isolated igloos of winter to this vital, open, caring environment where things can actually grow again. The streams of communication start to flow, and you get that real sense of excitement about the future. Together. Janet, a newlywed, just describes the feeling of spring so well. It's that joy, that thrill of watching your connection get deeper. But here's the thing. This season isn't just for newlyweds. Any couple, at any stage, can make the choice to create a new beginning and get back to spring. Okay, so after all that intentional work of spring, couples can move into the warmth and the deep satisfaction of summer. This is where you really get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Summer is that beautiful season of contentment that so many of us are aiming for. It's all about comfort, connection, and a deep sense of security. The hard work has paid off, and you can finally just relax a bit and enjoy the amazing partnership and teamwork that you've built. And Hal here, after 41 years of marriage, he just sums up summer perfectly. It's not about being problem-free. It's about this deep, unspoken knowledge that things are right, that you have each other's backs no matter what comes your way. Now that is true satisfaction. But, and this is important, that contentment of summer isn't some final destination you just arrive at. It's a season that still needs care to keep from drifting back into the neglect of fall. So the crucial point here is remembering that you are the gardener. You're the one who can influence the climate. So just take a second and really think about it. Where are you right now? Are you feeling that easy contentment of summer, the new hope of spring, maybe that quiet thrift of fall, or the deep chill of winter? Just identifying your current season, that's the first step toward making an intentional change. You see, the key takeaway from all of this is that your response to life's changes is what really determines your season. You can feel your emotions, of course, but you don't have to let them dictate your actions. You can actively choose an attitude of gratitude. And most importantly, you can take intentional, nurturing actions one small step at a time. This right here is the most empowering message in all of Chapman's work. You have agency. You have power. Now, you can't control every little thing that life throws at you, but you can absolutely control your response. And that response, it has the power to change the entire climate of your relationship. And we're going to end on this beautiful thought. Even from the coldest, harshest winter, the simple choice to love and to act with intention, well, that can create the very water needed for a new spring to begin. So the real question isn't what season you're in today, but what season you want to start building tomorrow.